Hello everyone. Welcome. Calling in from Sydney centrally with all the crew around the table this morning. I just want to firstly say welcome to the Local Landcare Coordinator Initiative webinar for 2017. Hopefully you guys have all logged on all right and have no sort of significant issues. Like the North Coast guys can see me, they've just commented, so that's fantastic. It looks like, from what we can see at our end, that we're all online and ready to go. So welcome. I'm going to give you. So excuse me. The session that I'm going to concentrate on is building capacity, which is an outcome of the Landcare Coordinator Initiative. So. Right, okay, thanks. Just a bit of technical difficulty moving slides. As Chris said, the program operates at 3 scales. The area that we're covering in this presentation is really about the coordinator scale, supporting local achievement. The focus of this local scale, provision of coordinators who work with their host organisations to build the capacity to support the ongoing delivery of local achievements. As Chris has mentioned, we've had 66 local coordinators placed within our 34 host organisations. Now this is an important outcome of the local scale because this is the foundation from which we will be building the capacity area. The other roles that we have for host organisations in the program is about improving the ability to communicate your outcomes to members, partners, investors, build the map of landcare in New South Wales, market landcare's abilities, inform local land service and others about local priorities, and foster learning from experience and stimulate knowledge sharing between groups and networks. Also, local host organisations and coordinators have a role in providing feedback on the success of the operations of the initiative from their point of view and let us know about local issues and local opportunities. Host organisations are responsible for the employment of their coordinators. Now, for many, this has been an exercise in improving knowledge and capacity already. This has been supported by Landcare New South Wales through the employment toolkit developed, in policy and employment templates and agreements, or through one-to-one advice. Look, I encourage any of you who have questions or issues regarding employment and management to contact us early so that we can help you through those issues before they become major problems. Jenny and myself are always available to work with you to help you understand what's needed and also to do best practice. Host organisations and coordinators have come together under the program and participated in the community of practice at Stockton. Now this was a really great induction exercise for people to learn about the program and about the various aspects that they would need to cover to roll this program out. What I will say is that all the presentations that were done at this Stockton event are available on the Gateway webpage. So head to the Gateway if you're new, having a look at those sessions because they will probably provide you some of the background information that you may be struggling with if you're new to the job or simply need a refresher of what was going on then. Okay, the other important part of this program is telling your story. And the capacity outcomes of this program help you do that. And the reporting for the LLCI is one of the really key ways that we're trying to help develop the capacity with organisations. Now, the reporting actually has 2 components. The first is providing feedback. And this is the area of the 6 monthly reports. Now, those 6 monthly reports have a part which is about ensuring that the funds are acquitted, so that's your financial report, and the Part 2 form, which is your opportunity to update us and let us know what's working and what's not. We also have a monthly request out to you to provide information on communications and upcoming activities that can be used by us at the program level to highlight the successes that the LLCI is achieving. Now, this is a really important component for Chris and I to be working with politicians and others involved in decision making to show them real time what's happening and provide them with an opportunity to have the ability to attend your events. Now, the other part of the reporting is actually capacity reporting. And what we're asking you to do here is probably nothing more than really your organisation really should have the skills to be doing. So in the reporting that we're asking of you to do, it's not reporting for our purposes, though we do use it. It is designed to help you develop the skills that you're going to need to be able to communicate your outcomes to members, partners, investors, and to help us build all those things that we need to keep this program going. Now, annual plans. That is part of what we're asking you to do each 6 months. So we asked you to develop an annual plan at the start of the program and also to update and review those plans on a 6-monthly basis. Again, that's not reporting for our purposes. We don't actually assess within your plan whether that's the right or wrong thing for your organisation to be doing. That's actually your organisation's determination. But to do so, you need to be able to make sure that your group understands why it exists and that you develop a common goal. So if you're looking to do planning, then we have a number of resources that are available to you. One of the things that really sticks in my mind when we first started to do the program working with groups was their understanding, or getting people to understand the importance of planning and what their group is on about. The comment that really sticks in mind to me was we've become so conditioned to chasing the funding bus, we've actually, as a group, forgotten where we're going. This LLCI program is about helping you make sure that you, as a group, really look to that first rather than just latch on to whatever particular opportunities coming your way. Now, it's very good to be able to latch onto those opportunities, but not if they take you off target, or if they are taking you off target for a specific reason, you know how to get back. So that's why we're saying review your plans. At a 6-monthly view point, make sure, at least 6 monthly, make sure you actually take the time as an organisation, sit down, review where you're going, what the challenges are and how to get there. Remember, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So your group may have lots of ideas, but without putting a plan in place, it's unlikely that as an organisation you're going to get to where you're going in a way that's going to keep your members engaged and heading the direction that they wish to go. One of the things with the annual plans I talked about is providing help. Now on Gateway there is quite a number of documents and tools that can be providing help. Now on Gateway there is quite a number of documents and tools that can be used to assist you with planning. We've loaded those from the induction workshop, but of course you can always ask your RLF to organise training. You can contact other groups in your area or beyond to help with planning. The saying is pretty obvious that failing to plan is planning to fail. I'll take some questions towards the end as we get through this. The questions that are coming up won't be a loss, but I'll get distracted if I try and answer them on the run. Okay, the other important part of the reporting, which is about developing capacity, Chris has touched on this already, are the case studies. The case studies are about sharing the story of what you're doing and what that's achieving. You want a story that's authentic, compelling and real. Now some of the tips that in reviewing the first batch of case studies that we came across was that, you know, really people, when you're doing your case studies, it's important to have a catchy heading. You know, a heading like Sausages on the Shoalhaven actually encourages people to actually find out what that's all about. It's got nothing to do with holding a sausage sizzle. It's actually a really innovative way that that group has tackled erosion problems. The case studies can be done throughout the year. You don't need to be waiting till reporting time to do them. I'd strongly suggest that when you hold an activity, complete a project, that part of the wrap-up of that is developing a case study on the web and use it in your reporting to other the funders of that program, and that way you're producing a product for the reporting of that particular project, as well as providing to the library of case studies that is being developed under the LLCI that we are using with investors and supporters. Another important tip, the key fact box. Make sure that you pull out key facts and figures into this key outcomes, key facts box. That should be just a snapshot of what your project's achieved. It's not another area where you should try and rewrite what you've already written in your text. Short and sharp so that somebody can look at that and go, oh, great, this project produced X of this, Y of that, so many people. Report cards. Now, this is the area that we're probably having the most difficulty with from our end getting to you, and that you're looking at completing. Now, the report cards are nothing more than a systemised way of capturing data that you should really have at your own fingertips for your own annual reporting, as well as being collected in a way that at the statewide scale we can aggregate. Now, that has been a common failing of reporting for I don't know how many years. We've all completed I don't know how many reports done to a program level that then, once that program's over, isn't able to be aggregated and captured across the state to tell not just the story of the project, but the bigger story of what Landcare is achieving through their efforts. Now, we've developed, as I said, Report Card 1, which we've released and got your feedback. And we've had a great response from those that we've actually sent the report cards out to. Now, some of your organisations will not yet have received Report Card 1. And this is actually about the fact that, as Chris mentioned earlier, there is no one model of Landcare across the state. So trying to design a report card that's going to fit the different ways that groups interact and fit together is actually proving really, really difficult. You know, I would not have thought that trying to design something to aggregate information at the state scale in a way that was simple to use would cause us this many problems, but it has. Report Card 2 and 3 are still under construction, but will be released in time for this year's round of annual reporting. Now, an important point too from this is currently the report cards are only for those groups that are involved in the LLCI. However, we're designing a process that we can use beyond the LLCI, and any groups that are out there that want to contribute data that helps build the picture of Landcare in New South Wales. It's done in a way that actually they can utilise if they so choose. Now, the report cards are designed, as I said, to actually aggregate the information that you as an organisation really need to be able to tell your story, who you are, what's happened this year, what's the governance requirements that we need for annual reporting. So we've developed a template where the information that you put into Report Card 1 will actually be pulled back into this document. So where you've told us your vision, your mission, your aims, that will present on this page. Where you've told us which groups are members or which are supported, that will be pulled into a page. The governance arrangements that you need to provide in your annual reporting, that'll be slotted in. So when you're filling out those report cards, you're giving us information, but you're also aggregating the information that you need to do an annual report, and we're building you a form that if you choose to use, you can, and it can then also be modified to suit your own requirements. Now, that's only part of the story of the report cards. The other is developing capacity and telling the story of who we collectively are as a Landcare movement. So Report Card 1 has provided us the census information. Report Card 2 will provide governance and capacity trends and changes. Report Card 3 will show activity and leverage. So here's just a quick snapshot of some of that census material, the type of groups. Now, as I said, we haven't got it all in, so we're heavily skewed at the moment because we're still waiting on the Greater Sydney and some of the more urban areas. But at the snapshot at the time, we can say for, you know, what type of groups we've got and what the membership trend has been over the last couple of years. I'm not going to touch on financial reporting at the moment. We're going to have a presentation from Landcare New South Wales Auditor. So look, what I would like to do is actually take a bit of time now to answer the questions that have been coming through. I'll start with ones that I can see, and then maybe we can go backwards. Kylie's asked, when will we receive the final report card? I am truly hopeful you will have it by the 1st of August. Now, I know I've said that before, and I feel like that something that should be so simple shouldn't be causing us so many problems, but we want to make sure that when we do get it out to you that it's right, that it is a simple thing to use and that it can be aggregated up. Joe's asked a question, should case studies focus on outcomes rather than outputs, or are outputs more palatable when reporting to politicians and investors? It's pretty much mixed bag, Joe. Outputs are the accountable things that people love to hear about. And one of the things that the National Landcare Program, I suppose the complaints over years, is that in the early days the outputs weren't captured very well. A lot of outcome stuff were, but then when you've got what did this money buy, people like to count things. So I think it's important that we have a combination of both.
Look, Sonia, I might jump in there just quickly too, if I can, to talk about what sort of content goes into case studies. As Sonia said, it is important. The answer is both. The answer is outcomes and outputs. But I just wanted to sort of throw in the bit about clearly putting in outputs as well. So we're working to try and work out a program how we can streamline land care reporting with local land services. And one of the questions that keeps coming back is, we want to know the outcomes, but we have to tick off the outputs, and that's usually a common question. So certainly don't underestimate the value of clearly and concisely putting in, we did X workshop with X attendees, we did our planting day with 1,000 plants, etc.
Okay, so going back to some of the questions, I think it was Liz that asked, when will we know what's in the report cards? So we'll have the data on hand. I'll undertake to get a sheet out to you shortly after the webinar, which outlines the sort of things that each of those report cards will be asking for, so that you can be starting to prepare the information that you need. And Chrissy, yes, it will be possible to review a draft of those. If there are some RLFs that would like to be involved in that, please let me know after the webinar, and we'll make sure that that happens. Okay.
Look, I've got a question here that's floated back up through the top. There was a question from the guys in Sydney about feedback on the communication opportunities that go to the Minister. We'll take that on. That is a black hole. It does sort of just disappear up, and often, in fact, we don't hear much back on. So look, that's a good point. We'll take that one up. There was also a question, again, from the Sydney guys about how reports are submitted and developed. I'm going to sort of, tell me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, by adding another comment here, but I'm going to say you mean that you guys submit reports for the hosts and you want to make sure that you're doing it once rather than having to redo reports for a different audience. Look, that's a very important point. And where possible, yes, definitely, we should be working towards, minimising duplication and doing one form of recording that can have an audience of more than just one. There was a question around tools for managing membership fees, etc., that came up from the guys at Southeast. And I think, if I'm correct, someone actually, maybe Chrissy shared a link. We'll take that on. We'll note that question, and it's exactly the sort of thing that we want in terms of feedback, things that can be shared across the state.
Following on from that, Jem has asked, the question and answer from this webinar be published and sent to us. Yes, all the content of today's webinar will be made available, both the presentations and any of the questions, and the responses, as well as any of the questions that we don't actually get around to answering for you. Kylie's asking the dates of the Minister be placed on the revised Gateways and online submission. I think, Kylie, what you're referring to there is currently the report that is being sent to you monthly, so that you can actually load that through there. We'll look into that for you. And in regards to the case studies appearing not to be reaching our politicians, we have